Hey everyone, welcome back. Or if you're just joining us, welcome to KSSP Podcast. I'm Spencer.
And I'm Katie. And now in this video on our series of the drug war, we're just going to be making some closing remarks. So, alright, using logic and looking at empirical evidence, the best way to fix the addiction and overdose crisis in our country is to stop the drug war, legalize all drugs, and regulate them heavily, very heavily. So not only will this help prevent countless overdoses and keep us users safe, we'll also make a lot of money off of taxing the sale of these drugs, just like certain states do with marijuana and all states do with nicotine and alcohol. And like I've said before, any argument you can make against using or legalizing drugs, the same arguments can be made for alcohol use and sale. Look at the Prohibition era. We can clearly see that making substances illegal does nothing to stop people from using them. In fact, we saw an increase of alcohol use during the Prohibition era, showing that many people want to do something simply because it's taboo, especially teenagers who are more vulnerable to addiction and other developmental issues from drug use. I hope we one day live in a world where drug use and alcohol use are seen as one and the same. Something that some can do occasionally for fun, even if others find it to be addictive. That's just me. In my personal experience, the worst factor of addiction is the environment the black market places you in. It is unsafe, untrustworthy, and it becomes your entire world. Because of the perceived scarcity of these drugs, it puts your brain into survival mode, and you end up making very rash decisions. If these drugs were available the same way that alcohol, or in some states marijuana is, then we would be taking away a large portion of what leads to the addiction in the first place. Of course, I recognize certain drugs have physical and psychological dependency as well, but having these drugs more widely available takes away the feeling of scarcity in the marketplace and prevents that fight or flight decision making, as well as keeping the users much more safe in general. People wouldn't feel so much of the need to do these drugs on a daily basis and could instead plan out when they want to use these drugs in a safe environment without worrying about laced drugs. I'm not saying no one would ever be addicted again. That's crazy. No, I mean, addiction's still going to happen, but legalization would decrease or at the very least subdue addiction rates, just like legalizing alcohol subdued the rates of alcoholism.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess for me, I sometimes truly question if there are certain politicians have any empathy, because I find it harder and harder to believe they do the more topics we go over, while also knowing the stances they take on these topics. We, in my opinion, need to rescind a majority of the acts that were brought up today, like the housing ones and the other ones too. But the housing ones really stood out to me. Just that someone can get evicted because somebody is using, even if they aren't the one using, and even if it's not on the premises.
And the problem is that it's criminalized. Like, that's why all of these issues, because of the policies, and like you mentioned, and that, you know, if these drugs were completely legalized and not criminalized at all, then we would not have all of these discrimination issues with addicts and even recovering addicts too, because you can even quit using and still have a felony on your record, so you can't get housing or employment.
Yes. That's a big issue too, that people end up with a criminal record, which ruins their chances at good paying jobs and housing, like you said, and we said, and just it's just really harmful to
Takes
the
away
rest of their life. And then I was also going to say, there's one other thing that I just thought of that I wanted to mention, but it escaped me, but it might come back. Dang it. And I felt like it was important, but...
You want to think on it for a minute?
Well, what were we just talking about again?
About the criminalization, the housing and employment policies, evictions.
Why can I not?
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, because employment and housing overdose. It was something to do with a disparity, I think. Not a disparity, but just like a it was the fact that a majority of people that get in trouble are just possession. They're not even dealers. It's
Right.
literally just a possession, which that's no, that is messed up in my opinion.
Yeah.
That doesn't help the actual issue because in my opinion, the actual issue would be cartels and dealers, you know. Granted, I'm not going to say that like because obviously you want like a trusted seller, as we mentioned earlier, that getting evicted can ruin that relationship with a trusted seller, putting you at the mercy of more unregulated, like a less safe supply in theory. Like if you trust your seller to have like a safe supply and they test their whatever it is.
Yeah.
So but still, at the end of the day, if they think that the drug war is about using drugs and they don't believe in that anyone can use, if they believe in an abstinence only type situation will help the drug war, then they shouldn't be going after possession and throwing them in jail because they're not the ones dealing.
Yeah.
Granted, nobody should be thrown in jail, but I'm just saying that it blows my mind that the majority of, and granted, I guess there wouldn't necessarily be a dealer for every possession, just because I don't think there'd be that many dealers, I guess. I don't know.
Right. There would be like a dealer for multiple possessions.
Yeah, but still, like the statistics, I feel like. I mean, I guess maybe they are representative, but I don't feel like they are. But either way, possession is just
well, and it's a lot easier to find somebody with it's a lot easier to charge someone with a possession charge than a dealing charge.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I mean, like first, it's easier to catch someone on a possession charge, first of all, because, you know, traffic stops and stuff like that. Like, even if you are a dealer, like, you might even not even have your whole supply on you. So you're just going to get a possession charge, even if you are dealing.
I guess, yeah. And it's probably easier. I guess, yeah. It's harder to probably prove dealing per se, because I think a lot of them try to use, like,
a lot of the dealing charges just go by the amount you have.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And which that isn't, in my opinion, even indicative of dealing either.
I mean, some people just buy large supplies so they don't have to continuously go back to their dealer as much. Like if they have money for it.
Yeah, no. And yeah, that's still just, especially like, I feel like still, in my opinion, I mean, all of it should be about rehabilitation and
I mean, all of the criminal justice system should be rehabilitation in general anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, rehabilitation and especially in this case, just like you mentioned, like that article mentioned, that the relationship to the drugs being healthy or not is what is important.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that statement.
Definitely.
That what matters is whether the relationship to the drugs is healthy or not. Because that's very important to understand, I think. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, there are people out there that use drugs that aren't like using them every day, that aren't addicted to them as well. There's people who occasionally will recreationally use certain drugs. You know, but I mean, addiction is just more common, I think. I mean, not that addiction would never happen, like I said, but yeah, I mean, I just personally think addiction is a lot more common because of the environment it places you in.
Yeah. I can see that.
There's also the physiological effects, like the physical and psychological effects of the drugs as well that do contribute to the addiction, but the environment makes it
definitely
a lot more problem.
Yeah, like they'll definitely, like even people who like were prescribed prescription painkillers and were overdosing on those, that was more of because of the drug, not because of the environment. So I would say it's a very, it's a multifaceted thing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the prescription drugs, because like a lot of the people that get addicted to their prescription opioids, especially with opioids specifically, like I mean, they'll when they want more and more of it, and their doctor isn't going to just keep upping their dose as quickly as they'd like, they're going to start going to the streets to buy pills, and then they realize, oh my God, it's $20 a pill. I'm going to start buying heroin. You know, that's how it goes a lot of the time.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I wouldn't say every.
Not every.
Yeah, okay.
It does happen a lot though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just tired of certain groups of people having inhumane powers over others. As being leaders of this country, they should be taking care of its citizens. Because one way that I see the government is kind of as a parent. You know, the parent should be taking care of its children. Us, the citizens, are technically their I know we elect them, so it's obviously different than an actual parent-child relationship.
Yeah.
But it's still, to me, I would assume that a government should take care of its citizens, and also just taking care of your citizens is going to help the country overall be, I guess, more productive, if you want to say that.
Oh, yeah.
Depending, I mean, granted, there's obviously, we've talked about multiple, like, money isn't the only way to generate productivity, but a lot of people think it is. So even just supporting the basic needs would increase GDP too, overall too. If that is your only concern with productivity, taking care of your citizens, keeping them healthy, making them happy, that would encourage them to want to do things, which would most likely then increase the GDP overall. So it's just beneficial if the government were to take care of us and meet our basic needs. I just don't. Yeah. It's hard for me to see why they don't see that. And I get there's greed and corruption, but even at the end of the day, if they still wanted to be greedy, they still could, and they could still meet our need. Like, they could still please the citizens and be greedy, you know? They could do it all if they wanted to.
Yeah. And
it just blows my mind that they don't even try to please the citizens, you know?
I mean, like, we're the ones paying our tax dollars into this system. Like, you would hopefully would get something out of it. Like, that's the whole point of paying taxes, is to get something out of it for the benefit of the citizens. And that just does not happen with a lot of the money that we spend.
Yeah, especially with them wanting to cut programs too.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
let's just buy more tanks that we're never going to use and then blow them up in whatever country we're invading next. And never use them. That's great. Great use of the money, guys. Good job.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, that's all I had to say.
So, yeah, that was our mini-series over the drug war.
Yeah, and now we would just really like to thank everyone who's been watching, liking, and sharing. We just want you to know that we really do appreciate you.
And also that we are just really excited to have you guys along on this journey with us as we see where this podcast takes us and see where it goes. And as always, you guys can leave comments below if you have ideas on things that you guys want to hear.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We do also occasionally Twitch live stream, so follow us there to be notified when we do.
And don't forget to give this video a like, as well as follow or subscribe to our other social media accounts. And don't forget to turn on notifications so that you get notified of when our new content comes out. Otherwise, we will see everyone next time.